Hi, this is Alex, and welcome to this series on working with Ajax as part of the jQuery library. In this series, we're going to be working Ajaxing to specific files for different uses. So probably the first thing that we'll do is hit a basic file on the server and load that in asynchronously, so without actually refreshing the page. So essentially what an Ajax request is it's hitting another file or sending data to another file and retrieving a response from that file without actually reloading the page via an asynchronous HTTP Ajax request. So we'll be working with jQuery here because jQuery basically is, first of all, very, very easy to use. It works well cross-browser and cross-device. And the set of functionality within jQuery for the Ajax method or the Ajax function is so rich that it just allows you to include lots of different things really, really quickly. The syntax as well is super simple. So we'll be using the jQuery library. This can be done without the jQuery library, but it just makes it a lot easier to work with, process data that you retrieve back, whether that be in plain text, JSON, XML, anything. So it's a lot easier to work with. So we're going to take a look over this jQuery page, and then in the next video we're going to look at actually putting the jQuery library onto our page and then actually performing a very, very, very simple Ajax request just to check that everything's working okay. So if you head over to jQuery, we're currently looking now at the API. So this basically lists the usage of this Ajax method. It's what we call a method, but I guess it's declared as a sort of function, so I'm going to be referring to it as a method. And it gives you a description of the method. It tells you its usage, its required parameters, if you like. And in this case, we just pass through a object into the Ajax method. So we can do it like this. So we just pass through a load of settings, and these settings within an object can contain any one of these properties. We have certain callback functions. Now, don't worry if you're new to JavaScript or even new to jQuery. The syntax here that we use is extremely straightforward. So, you don't need to worry about how this works behind the scenes. I'll be explaining a basic sort of understanding of this as we go. So, once you know how to use it, you can go off and sort of examine the code and see how things work. But, this is a really, really easy way to get started with Ajax and basically just gets the job done. So as you can see, we've got the ability to pass through a URL, various settings here. The ones that we're going to be focusing on are things like caching. We're going to be looking at things like, what are we going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at things like data type. So this allows you to define the data type that you get back. We'll be looking at things like error handling. We'll be looking at success handling as well. We'll be looking at, here's the success handler. We'll be looking at things like type, so whether we want to send a GET or a POST request. URL as well, which is extremely important because we do actually need to Ajax to a specific URL. So it's essentially by the end of this series, you'll be able to use jQuery to pretty much process an Ajax request, send data to a file on the server, and retrieve a response. So whether that's an auto refresh search or something, so a user starts typing keywords, for example, and they immediately get search results back. It could be anything like that. But once you've got the basics of this down, you'll be able to go on and sort of do any of these sorts of things. So in the next video, we're going to look at getting jQuery onto our page, basic functionality, just so we can test that things are working. And then after that, we'll actually go on to the exciting stuff and hitting files on a server, reading the contents of them files.